Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into integrated supply chain management today. Making things run smoother, keeping those costs down, and making sure your customers are happy.
Yeah,
So an integrated supply chain, that might be the key, right?
it could be.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We think of a supply chain as like a step by step, but when it's truly integrated, it's more like I don't know, a dance.
I like that.
Every partner's in sync. We've got some great sources here from the Procure4 marketing team. And some of their findings really surprised me. Like, did you know that simple communication can make a huge difference in how your supply chain performs?
It's true. We get so caught up in technology, but supply chains, at their heart, they are about relationships. When you build trust and you can communicate openly with your suppliers, that changes the game.
Okay, so let's break it down. WHY is an integrated supply chain so important. Our sources highlight three big benefits: efficiency, cost reduction, and happier customers. But it's easy to get lost in theory, right?
Absolutely. Real world examples are powerful. I actually worked with this apparel company and they decided to really go for it. They integrated their supply chain, they streamlined communication, started joint planning with their suppliers, and the results impressive.
What happened?
Lead times shrunk by 15% and inventory costs down by 10%.
Wow.
A huge GE win, especially in apparel. That's a fast-paced industry.
That's a compelling case study. Getting everyone on the same page really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Now, our sources outline four key strategies to achieve this supply chain nirvana. The first one focuses on the human element, establishing strong partnerships. So what are some concrete steps that businesses can take to actually cultivate these rock-solid relationships?
Well, like any relationship, communication is key. Regular check-ins, sharing updates, even using those platforms where everyone can see what's happening. It all builds trust and transparency.
Makes total sense. I mean, you wouldn't expect a close friend to read your mind.
Right.
You got to communicate. And it sounds like the same applies to your suppliers.
Absolutely. I remember working with this electronics manufacturer and they had a major crisis.
Yeah.
Sudden shortage of a really critical component. Production was about to just completely stop.
Oh, no.
But they had invested in a strong relationship with their supplier. And it paid off. The supplier did everything they could to prioritize that order, even airlifted the components.
Yeah.
That's the loyalty and responsiveness you get with strong partnerships.
That's incredible. It shows you how important trust is. Our sources also say joint planning and shared performance metrics are important.
Yes, teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
Getting everyone aligned and working together is essential for a truly integrated supply chain. It's not about individual performance, it's collective success.
Okay, so we've talked about those strong relationships. That's a fantastic foundation. But let's be real, technology plays a huge role in supply chain management these days. Our sources really dive into how to leverage tech wisely, focusing on ERP systems, IoT devices, and data analytics.
For someone who's not a tech expert, how would you break those three areas down? I mean, we hear these terms all the time, but it's helpful to understand what they mean in practice.
Sure. Imagine your ERP system as like the conductor of an orchestra. Brings all the different parts of your supply chain together, making sure everyone is playing from the same sheet music.
Okay.
Then you've got your IoT devices. Those are like the eyes and ears of your operation.
Yeah.
Out there collecting real-time data, inventory levels, delivery times, everything.
And that's where data analytics comes in.
Exactly. Data analytics is like the brain. It takes the information gathered by the IoT and makes sense of it all. Helps you to spot patterns, identify bottlenecks, and make smarter decisions.
So it's not just having the tech, it's using it strategically to optimize your supply chain. Right. This is where things can get tricky, though. Just throwing tech at a problem without a plan can create more chaos.
Yeah.
It's about integrating these tools carefully, aligning them with your overall strategy, and making sure everyone knows how to use them.
Right. You wouldn't buy a fancy sports car and not know how to drive it.
Exactly.
You got to know how to use that power to your advantage.
Exactly. Technology should empower your team and streamline those processes, not make things more complex.
Now, our next strategy builds on this idea of data and insights. It's all about enhancing visibility. Knowing where everything is, where it's going. It's like having a GPS on every single item in your supply chain. Our sources talk about real-time tracking and data sharing between all partners. How does that level of visibility actually lead to better decision-making?
Well, imagine you're a retailer getting ready for the holidays. With real-time tracking, you can see exactly where each shipment is, whether it's on a truck, a train, or even a cargo ship. This means you can address any delays, adjust delivery schedules, keep your customers informed. Being proactive, not reactive,
So it's not just about avoiding those "where's my package" calls from customers. It's about having the info you need to make strategic decisions that keep everything running smoothly.
Exactly. And that's where predictive analytics is so important. By analyzing historical data and market trends, you can anticipate future demand and adjust your supply chain.
Wow. So you can predict the future.
In a way, yeah.
Tell me more about how that works practically.
Well, one company I worked with used predictive analytics to anticipate a big increase in demand for winter gear during a cold spell. They ramped up production and got products to market before any of their competitors, resulted in a huge sales boost.
Wow. Talk about being ahead of the game.
It gives businesses a real edge.
So predictive analytics can really give you a competitive advantage.
Definitely. And as you get more data, your predictions get more accurate, and your supply chain becomes even more responsive.
Okay, so we've got strong partnerships, smart technology, and real-time visibility. That's a powerful combination. But there's one more piece to this integrated supply chain puzzle: collaboration, lean principles, and flexibility. Let's dive into that after a quick break. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we've talked about strong partnerships, smart tech, real-time visibility. Now let's see how to weave those together with collaboration, lean principles, and flexibility.
It's like building a house,
Yeah.
You need that solid foundation, but also the right framework and the ability to adapt when things change.
I like that analogy. So let's start with collaboration. Our sources talk about this idea of collaborative planning and forecasting. That sounds like a fancy way of saying, let's all work together.
Yeah, basically. It means breaking down the walls between your business and your suppliers. Instead of working in isolation, you're sharing information, insights, forecasts, everything.
So instead of just sending a purchase order and crossing your fingers, you're actually talking about what you need when you need it, and how everyone benefits from being on the same page. Exactly. And the benefits are huge. Sharing data and insights means more accurate forecasts, less overproduction, fewer stockouts. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
So not just about avoiding those last-minute scrambles. It's about optimizing your whole operation to be more efficient, more responsive.
Exactly. And it reduces waste, which is where those lean principles come in.
Ah, lean. I know it's a buzzword.
Yeah.
But can you break it down for us in a way that makes sense for everyday operations?
Think of lean as eliminating anything that doesn't add value for your customer, streamlining processes, cutting waste, and constantly looking to improve.
So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about purpose, making sure each step in your process actually contributes to the end goal.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful lean tools is just-in-time inventory, or JIT.
Okay, so JIT, that's all about getting goods only when you need them. No more huge warehouses full of stuff just sitting there.
You got it. Instead of all that capital tied up in excess inventory, you're working with your suppliers to make sure materials flow smoothly and on time. I knew this manufacturing company that implemented JIT. They saw a 20% reduction in warehouse space, and their carrying costs dropped by 10%.
Wow, that's huge. So JIT is all about finding that sweet spot, having enough to meet demand, but not going overboard.
Exactly. Takes careful planning and coordination, but the benefits are worth it.
Okay, so I've got collaboration, we've got lean principles. What's a final ingredient in this recipe for supply chain success?
Flexibility. Things change so fast these days. Pandemics, disasters, unrest, anything can disrupt your plans. Being able to adapt quickly is crucial.
So not just about plan A. You need a plan B, C, and D.
Exactly. And it's not just reacting to disruptions. It's about building that flexibility into your supply chain from the very beginning.
Our sources mention a few ways to enhance flexibility. Can you walk us through those?
Sure, agile practices are getting really popular. It's a more adaptable way of planning and execution. Think of it as being nimble, responsive, like a martial artist, not a slow, rigid giant.
I like that. So it's about being able to pivot when things change, not being stuck in a plan that doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. Another important strategy is diversifying your supplier base. Relying on a single supplier for a critical component is like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And what happens if that one supplier has a problem?
It can be a disaster. One company I worked with learned that the hard way. They only use one supplier for a key raw material. When that supplier had a production issue, their entire supply chain stopped.
Oh,
They
wow.
couldn't fill orders, they lost customers, huge financial hit.
Ouch. It shows you why diversification is so important.
It's all about spreading that risk. Multiple suppliers means more options, and it helps prevent those disruptions from being so impactful.
And having good contingency plans is crucial too. Like, you don't wait for a fire to install smoke detectors. You prepare in advance so you can respond quickly if things go wrong.
Absolutely. Contingency planning means anticipating problems and having a plan ready to go.
So we've covered a lot of ground. Strong partnerships, leveraging technology, real-time visibility, collaboration, lean principles, flexibility. It's a lot.
It is, but it's all connected. All these strategies work together to create a supply chain that's stronger, more efficient, more responsive.
And we've seen from those examples, the benefits are real. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought. So we've covered all these great strategies for building a really integrated supply chain, but it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So what's one thing our listeners can do today to get started?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this massive change right away. Maybe it's just calling up a supplier and talking about upcoming forecasts or looking at a new inventory system.
Right, or even just committing to more open communication with your partners. Baby steps can lead to big changes, right?
Absolutely. It's like, what's that saying? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
I love that. So take that first step, everyone. Embrace the journey toward a more integrated supply chain. And use the insights from this deep dive as your guide. Until next time, keep learning and keep diving deep.